So I will introduce Julie Roros, also known as the Ring Woman. She's a private jeweler, diamond educator, and custom designer. She specializes in diamonds, colored gems, fine jewelry, repairs, engagement, and wedding rings. Julie's passion lies in creating meaningful jewelry that will be cherished forever, and she believes nothing more than a personalized experience, creating one-of-a-kind pieces made uniquely just for her clients. So very happy to have Julie here during the busy holiday season that she's working with right now, trying to get orders in so that she can get the jewelry delivered in time for wonderful Christmas gifts. Julie, welcome to our webinar series here.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thanks for the introduction as well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So Julie, I guess we'll just dive in and ask the question, I mean, how did you even come to work in jewelry design?
Had an interesting journey to start. So I actually was a music teacher at elementary school for 9 years. Right out of college, I studied music education, and I love teaching. However, a couple of years ago, I got engaged myself, and I was fascinated by this world of engagement rings and diamonds, and I really tried digging in a little deeper. And I noticed when my friends were getting engaged that there was a pretty big lack of transparency when couples were searching for engagement rings, diamond prices, what they were buying. So I decided to get my degree in gemology and diamonds at Gemological Institute of America in New York City. And I dove in like that. And it's been quite the journey since then, which I love. And I've expanded a lot over the 2.5 years now that I've been in business. But that's kind of how I started out. And I really wanted, I took my teaching experience and I really wanted to teach my customers and the couples who I was working with what they were actually investing in and buying when purchasing an engagement ring, which is an important investment and something that will last lifetimes, passed down years to come. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, incredible. I love the education component that is clearly so important to you that you carried over into this profession. So that's great that you're able to do that. If you could briefly walk us through some of the steps that, somebody comes to you, what's the experience? How do they create this custom jewelry or engagement ring? Like, what is that whole process?
Yeah, first of all, it's a really exciting process. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to me saying, this is so overwhelming. Like, I don't know where to begin with engagement rings or custom jewelry. So I really want to make it a stress-free, exciting, and fun process. So I guess for an engagement ring is a little different than creating a custom piece of jewelry. But for an engagement ring, I usually do like an initial consultation over the phone to get preferences on what someone's looking for, a price range that they're comfortable being in, details on the setting. And then from there, since I work with multiple wholesale dealers in the diamond industry, I'm able to source the best diamond options or gemstone options. There's a lot of people who do other types of stones instead of diamonds. But I am able to source the best selection to show the customer. And then if they decide to move forward and choose that, we design a custom setting. They're part of the process every step of the way to approve the design. And then we start production. Everything that I make is handcrafted in New York City. I don't bulk manufacture any settings. Everything is custom made. So it usually takes about like 3 to 5 weeks to make an engagement ring. Similar for custom jewelry. It's really exciting because people have these ideas that they can't find online or have ideas that they want to be brought to life. So my process is, again, an initial consultation. We'll lay out some design ideas, think about what, kind of styles and looks that they're going for, and design from there. So it's a really curated process. It's so much fun. I love involving the customers and seeing like when I actually deliver the product, like how amazing it is that it was in their head or they had these ideas and I got to bring it to life. So it's really exciting.
So do you help with, in terms of like the design process, like bringing it to life, like on paper or computer screen first to kind of show them what it will look like and go through that whole thing so excitement builds along the way?
That's a great question. Yes, depending on the product, depending on the jewelry piece, especially for engagement rings, I sometimes do like a sketch, just, handwritten, like a hand sketch. And then we do something called a CAD design, which is more of a computeristic feel. I don't love those because it's like a little computeristic and not as like romantic looking. So they have to take it with a grain of salt, but at least they can kind of get an idea of what it will look like when it's all hand made and set and finished. So there are, yes, it is very exciting, and you get to see the steps to it being actually made.
Yeah, and I'm sure nothing beats the final actual thing that once you get it in your hands.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely the most exciting part for sure. I should add too, if any of the attendees want to ask a question, we do have the Q&A feature, so we'll just, me and Julie will have a conversation here. But if you have specific questions that you'd like answered by the ring woman, please put them in the Q&A so we can get those addressed. But really, Julie, I want to know, what is your favorite thing about being a jewelry designer?
Oh, my favorite thing. First, I have a couple, but my favorite thing is just the process working with the people and the couples and the customers who I work with. I love getting to know like the stories that they that inspired their ideas for jewelry, or if it's an engagement or wedding band. I love seeing like the nostalgia behind what they're trying to create with me. So I love working with people. I'm a big people person, and I get to work with different people every single day. So I do love the process.
Yeah, the
And I also
process
love
is
getting to try on diamonds. I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's really a nice perk.
yeah, and modeling them as well. So I've seen a lot of the photos there for you modeling different pieces as well. So I'm sure that's fun.
Yes.
Fun too. So being a teacher, kind of going through the engagement ring process yourself, then wanting and have this, but why actually choose to study gemology and in New York? Why that whole process? Why did you want to do that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. First of all, I was a teacher, obviously, but I love learning. And I knew that the jewelry and the diamond industry is very behind closed doors. And I knew that, I'm actually like a huge majority of people in the diamond industry are, where it was passed down through family, or they've had, parents who were jewelers, and, they have connections. And that's really what this industry is about. It's all about trust and building connections, which obviously I did not have at the time. So I wanted to like really dive in and learn the industry. But I knew I needed credentials to, especially since I didn't have the jewelry business background in my family. I wanted to definitely be credited, and I wanted to really understand what I was looking at when buying diamonds, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So that was my motivation to study gemology and diamonds. And I was able to meet and connect with people in the industry that way as well.
Incredible. And then, so after you came out with from GIA, how did you come up with the ring woman? Was it like the first thing that you did, or did you have another job before to kind of learn things? What was that?
So to be honest, I actually jumped straight into the diamond industry. It was really a wild experience. I did not have a job in a retail store. I actually talked to like a few different people in, in the jewelry world at retail stores, like, oh, well, you should just go work at a K Jewelers, or no, you can't do that. Like, and it was really discouraging to hear that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try and we'll see what happens. And I ended up going to the Diamond District, knocking on doors, explaining that I have I know what I'm looking at. I have a good eye. I have these ideas, and I really want to bring this to life in my business. So I really went and focused on straight diamond buying and selling. it was a little challenging because there's not that many women in this industry, ironically, even though a lot of jewelry is made for women. So, you know, I got a lot of no's and got shut down a lot, but I ended up finding, you know, amazing wholesale dealers, bench jewelers who are incredible craftsmen that I work with now. And I was able to network and build trusting relationships with these people. So that's how the Ring Woman kind of began. And I didn't have to work in a K Jewelers. It was a lot of work to get where I am, but I didn't go that route of the cookie cutter. So yeah.
That's great. And persistence, I mean, it shows it pays off, and it's still continuing to build, gain momentum. You've got your own line, which we'll kind of talk about later as well, that you released. So things are definitely looking up in the Ring Woman's world. And it's great that you were able to bust through, build those relationships, stay persistent, even through, you know, all of the no's and people telling, you know, you can't do it that way. I love the persistence there.
Thank you.
So let's get into what, you know, get some education for these people. So diamonds, let's talk about them for a second. Prices, how does that work? How do you even look at diamonds? How should you know what you're even looking at as a consumer?
It's a great question. The most common question I get from my customers, especially when they're buying engagement rings, is like, what does something like this cost? So diamond prices fluctuate a lot, depends on the market. You know, right now, like you have to think of like gas prices, like it fluctuates all the time depending on inflation or what's going on in the market. And it's all about supply and demand. So it depends on, you know, the time of year, sometimes how diamond wholesale prices work. But essentially, when you're buying a diamond, there is something called the 4Cs, which is the 4 characteristics of how a diamond is graded. And depending on if the diamond quality is higher, obviously the price of that diamond will be higher. Now, I like to not say like whatever's on paper is what this diamond is worth. It's what speaks to you when you're looking at a diamond. There are some things that look perfect on paper, which is a huge issue when buying a diamond online, is that the paper, the GIA report will say excellent cut, F color, but in real life, it's lacking life. And there's so much that goes into purchasing a diamond, and it might not hold up its value to what the price is. So that's where I come in, and I really make sure when I'm looking at diamonds, they are at the value or higher than, you know, and in the price range that the customer wants to spend. But there's a lot that go into diamond pricing. It's kind of mixed with the market value, the supply and demand, and then of course the 4Cs of a diamond.
And what are those 4Cs?
Good, the 4Cs. Okay. Carat weight, which is not the size of the diamond, which a lot of people think. It's actually the weight. So if you stepped on a scale, whatever you weigh, someone could have like a lot of muscle but look really small. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean how big the diamond is, just the weight. And then there's clarity, which is the amount of inclusions in a diamond that are naturally formed in the diamond when it is being created in the earth millions of years ago. Then there's color, which is actually the lack of color in a diamond. So the better the color, it's not going to be as warm. Those are going to be like a little more expensive, colorless diamonds. And then lastly, cut. The most underrated C, in my opinion, is cut. And that is the way the diamond's measurements are and how a cutter actually cuts a diamond. You can have a 1 carat fair cut diamond, and it could actually look smaller than a 50 pointer, 0.5 carat, half a carat, excellent cut diamond. So cut is very, very important in a diamond. Those are the 4Cs.
Very good. I actually didn't know that carat was based on weight. And I think it would be fun to, instead of reporting our weight in pounds, we instead report it in carats as well. So I'm going to figure out what my weight would be in carats and then just say that.
That would be, if you were a diamond, you would be a very, very expensive diamond.
Very expensive, of course.
Yeah.
let's talk about budget for a little bit, because we did get a question in asking about budget for an engagement ring specifically. We've seen the things of 3 months salary, but what's kind of the normal? What should you spend on an engagement ring, and is there a minimum amount that you should be thinking about?
Okay, that's a great question. I actually got this question once. I was doing and I was on 106.7 Light FM with Christine Nagy, and she asked me this question because we were talking about J-Lo's ring and like how much should a guy spend or on an engagement ring. And I actually hate the rule, which I don't believe is a rule, of you have to spend your 3 months salary. I think that's ridiculous. And, you know, I don't know who made up that rule, but I do not believe in that rule. I would say that, you know, when working with people's price ranges and budgets, you have to come up with something that you feel comfortable spending on this special gift. No matter what you decide to spend, it's going to be beautiful and special, but there's no right or wrong answer on what you should spend. How I work is usually, you know, a customer will tell me, okay, this is my price range, this is so I'm comfortable. What can I get for it? And that's when I say, that's what I'm going to source to you. I'm going to source you the best options for your price range. I've sold rings that are $5,000 that are gorgeous. I've sold a ring that was $35,000 that are gorgeous. There's no right or wrong answer. It's really what you feel comfortable investing in.
Is there ever a point in time where you should upgrade that ring? So let's say, this could be me, got married. We just celebrated our 9th year anniversary. 10 will be next year.
Anniversary.
Thank you. So obviously the money I was making back then, you know, 9 years ago plus, because we got engaged obviously before we were married, so probably like 12 years ago, was not what I am doing today. So is there any point in time that you want to upgrade that, or just because of the specialty of the original one that you want to maintain that?
That's a great question. So with upgrades, I would, and actually right now, diamond prices are higher, especially higher than 9 years ago. So now is actually a good time to sell a diamond. You know, the diamond prices are valued higher. However, and then you can use that money to purchase a new diamond. However, a lot of my customers like to, you know, it's such a special diamond that you proposed with. And if, you know, again, it has to do with the price range and the budget and everything, but a lot of people want to repurpose their diamond since it's so sentimental to them in like a pendant necklace or something to pass down later on to a child. And then just create a whole new ring. But again, there's no right or wrong time on upgrading. It's when you feel comfortable. And right now is a great time to sell diamonds if you have one, because the prices are higher. So yeah, that is a possibility. Just again, you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable in price range. But yeah.
Awesome. Now, reading the tea leaves of the future of diamond prices, do you think that will come down a little bit? Is it like spike temporarily based on kind of what's going on in the economy and inflation, recovery from COVID, and you think they'll come back down, or what's your projections there if you have one?
That's a great question. So actually diamond prices did come down a little bit since this past summer. They were very high this summer. And prices on gold and diamonds have come down a little bit. You know, every year things get more and more expensive, just the way of life. Like houses get more expensive, you know, over the years. So, you know, it's not as drastic. During COVID, it was all over the place. It was a lot of drastic changes in diamond prices. Now it's not moving as drastically. So it's not like a bad time to buy a diamond either. It's kind of like on the same playing on like the same line. But I would say, like, in terms of buying an engagement ring during the holidays, there's obviously a lot of demand because there's so many holiday proposals. So you might not be able to find like the best options if you buy it so soon to Christmas time, because diamonds are like, there's a huge overturn, they're flying off the shelves and stuff like that. So I guess that depends. But in terms of projections, it's so hard to say.
No, I mean, even in, people ask us all the time about where markets are going. And it's impossible
Who
to answer
knows?
because if we knew, we can make a lot of money based off of
Exactly.
those predictions
Yeah,
or
yeah.
that knowledge. So great. And actually behind the scenes, somebody just did some math. 408,000 carats approximately is the weight here. So I'm gonna say from now
Wow.
on, when people ask me, I'm about 408,000 carats.
If
No,
anyone wants to buy the same carat weight as Justin, call me. No, I would have to find that somewhere on the earth. I don't even know if that exists. But
yeah,
yes,
that would be tricky.
you're priceless, Justin.
I know it. Tell us about, besides a carat the size of Justin, tell us that your favorite piece of jewelry and why was it your favorite?
Oh, that's a really good question. So my favorite piece of jewelry is it's like actually a set. My grandfather I have a musical background. My grandfather played in the Philharmonic in New York City, and he traveled all over the world touring with them. He had a great eye for jewelry, buying jewelry for my grandma. And he was in Brazil and bought her this beautiful turquoise and yellow 18 karat yellow gold set. And my grandma actually recently gifted it to me to wear. And it's my favorite because it has, it's an heirloom pieces, and it has so much meaning behind it. And not only that, the bracelet, I wish I had a picture of it because I'm actually working on it right now. The bracelet was too big on me. So there's actually 4 turquoise stones in it that I'm repurposing. I'm actually making a set of studs, and one of them is going to be for each of my grandparents that passed away, symbolic. So that's my favorite piece of jewelry because there's so much meaning behind it. And when I create jewelry for my customers, I really care about the meaning behind it, and what it will mean to them and to people who they gift it to. So
So you've taken your favorite piece and made it into pieces, so you have more pieces of favorite jewelry.
When I wear it, I feel really, really happy.
Yeah, and that sentiment, I'm sure, and you can tell me otherwise, but I'm sure it's quite popular, to have that heirloom of from a grandmother's engagement ring or something that you want to use a diamond from when you're redesigning for, your engagement ring. So
Exactly.
do you see that, and you help to build that in your designs?
I actually do that all the time. I repurpose heirloom jewelry. We're in the age where a lot of things are being passed down to us. And I have a lot of customers who, have old engagement rings or wedding rings that are not their style. They're a little outdated, but they want to use those diamonds or stones or metal. And I repurpose jewelry all the time. It's amazing because it becomes their style, but there still has that really important sentiment to it from the reason they got it. So yeah, that's one of my services that I love doing, is repurposing fine heirloom jewelry. And you could do so much with it. And it's actually really reasonable to do because you're not buying diamonds for the piece. You're just repurposing and restyling it. So I actually am working on a few projects right now with a few customers doing that. So if anyone has heirloom jewelry that they don't like, that's just sitting in their drawer, you might as well enjoy and wear it if, you could do something with it.
Awesome. So not only designing things, but also repurposing heirlooms. What other services do you offer as well on top of those things, if any?
Yeah. So I obviously do custom jewelry. In addition to diamonds, I also work a lot with natural gemstones, colored gemstones, any birthstones, or like turquoise or rubies, emeralds. I have amazing dealers that have gorgeous gemstones that are natural. So I work a lot with those types too, in addition to diamonds. Custom jewelry, repurposing. I do repairs all the time. And I know on my website, it's all women's jewelry, but I actually do a lot of men's jewelry chains. I was actually admiring David's chain necklace, a really nice David Yurman necklace. But I do gifts for men all the time, which I have to get on my website. It's hard because I need someone to model it. My husband says no when I ask him. But yeah, I love working with usually the answer is yes. If you have an idea or have something jewelry wise, the answer is yes.
For the right price, David and myself could potentially be some models, but you'd have to come out of pocket there for
you got it.
a pretty good fee. We're not cheap, so.
I bet we're less than 408 carats.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
408,000, sorry.
408,000 carats, yeah, or 408
Probably even
carats
less than
too.
408 carats. Yeah.
Awesome. So you did mention, or I mentioned as well, you do have a new line that you just released recently. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what inspired that, and how people can learn about it?
Yeah, that's a great, thank you for bringing that up. So yes, I just dropped my first fine jewelry line called TRW Fine Jewelry. This took a long time, about a year, to really get my ideas together. I used a lot of inspiration from customers who I've done custom pieces with. Everything is really high, fine quality. And, I was struggling when I was looking online. There's either, fine jewelry that's bulk manufactured and really thin and lightweight. And then there's really nice, heavy, beautiful quality jewelry, but it's like $15,000 and up. So I was trying to create a line that, as you could see, I'm wearing some pieces now that really show up, that are not too dainty, but they're very timeless and classic. But at a price range between 300 and I think my most expensive piece on my website is around 2,500. So trying to stay within a, still true to wholesale pricing for the quality that you're getting. I love the designs. It took me a while, but I really wanted to make personalized jewelry still for my line. So anything could be personalized. The other really special touch to my line is that I do not bulk manufacture. Like I said, everything is still handcrafted in New York City. So everything is made to order. I don't have, inventory where I'm just like, okay, well, you can have this one. If someone needs a different size or something different about it, I'm able to make it from start to finish. So I'm really excited about my line. And if anyone wants to check it out, I'm having a 15% off sale right now. It's shoptheringwoman.com.
Awesome. So how to get the line, shoptheringwoman.com. How do they connect with you? Like social media, other websites, or what's the best way to get in touch if
Yes,
they want to?
You can email me at theringwoman1@gmail.com. I'm happy to give out, my personal phone number if someone would like to contact me that way, or a lot of people connect over Instagram on direct message. My Instagram is The Ring Woman, and not the ring woman from the Scary Movie, which is actually a funny story I have about that. But yeah, their email directly through my website. Anyone can contact me that way.
Yep. Google is great, The Ring Woman. And then the first thing that pops up is that scary picture. And then you can find Julie's site.
It's actually really funny that I was talking to my brother Adam about when I was starting my business, like, I need a catchy name. And he's like, well, what about The Ring Woman? Like, you're a wing woman for rings. I'm like, that's great. Like, and so when I bought the domain name, like, wow, I can't believe no one ever thought of this. Like, this is a catchy name. And then I looked it up on Google, and the first thing that comes up, as Justin said, is the scary ring girl from the horror movie, The Ring. And I kind of look like her because I have the long black hair. But so she's the OG ring woman. I'm the diamond ring woman.
Yes,
But
you're the non-scary one that people want to talk to.
yeah.
Not sure if you're going to be coming out of our Zoom screens any second now and trying to attack us.
I promise I won't do that.
That could be a
But
scare.
just don't be scared if you look up The Ring Woman on Google.
Amazing, Julie. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for the education that you provide this webinar. So we'll let people get back to finishing up their lunch. Before we leave, we'll have David share some future webinars. Any final that you want to leave us with, Julie?
No, thank you so much, Justin, for having me, and David. And I loved, chatting. If anyone needs anything jewelry-wise, I am happy to help. And again, thank you so much for having me here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. David, what's coming up next in our webinar series?
Okay, great, Justin. And thank you very much, Julie. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for our meeting in our webinar, rather, in January, on January 4th. We will be hearing from Dr. Haley Winchell, who's a chiropractor, and she'll be talking about optimizing health and wellness in 2023, something that none of us need any work on.
Yeah, so right around the time of setting the New Year's resolutions that don't work, let's try to find something that actually does. So hopefully Haley will be able to enlighten us at how to stay on track and on pace as we enter 2023. Quite incredible, and get in those last minute gifts for 2022 Christmas time by contacting the Ring Woman. Thanks so much for attending, and if you're watching the recording, thank you as well, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.